good evening, welcome to another beautiful tutorial by me, and I remain myself, Oluwafemi Akingola. I'm glad that people learned from the previous tutorials on which I posted. Thanks for subscribing to my channel and liking the videos. I sure hope you really learned some things pertaining to you, some things. Alright, so today's tutorial is going to be more of a walkthrough of how I did this beautiful Pinterest and Instagram logo. Sorry, excuse me. Pinterest and Instagram logo, this here. So it's a beautiful walkthrough. It's going to be more of a walkthrough of how I did the Pinterest and Instagram logo. I've been having beautiful comments. I've been receiving beautiful comments and people telling me, oh, they really love this logo. They really want to know the process I got through to get this beautiful result. All right, so the tools I used were after Adobe Illustrator, Cinema 4D, and of course one of my favorite renders, the V-Ray renderer. All right, so let's make it snappy. So I got a Pinterest logo and I placed it just by coming to place. I placed it and then used the pen tool to trace between at the center of this to get the beautiful outline in which I used here. Here's the outline, so you won't see it. So it shouldn't be traced out. Excuse me. It shouldn't be traced out using stroke color because you're not going to like what Illustrator with what Cinema 4D rather will do to you. So all you have to do is to save it as Illustrator file, and do Illustrator 8. So I have to save it as Illustrator 8 because this is the only file, Illustrator file type Cinema 4D recognizes and uses. So you save as Illustrator. It's going to tell you that the legacy format may convert out of point type and may disable some editing pictures when we open back in Illustrator, but you don't mind. And it's going to tell you the same thing again. All you have to do is to click on OK, and then voila, you have it out. So we jump back into Cinema 4D, and I think I have to close this guy. Excuse me. So we jump back to Cinema 4D and open. So we are going to open the AI file. This one. So AI 8, and it's going to tell you scale, leave it at 1, and connect splines. Yours might be deselected. Make sure it's selected and click on OK. And so we have okay. There's an error. So also get in mind that you should have this deleted. We don't need it here again because it's going to disrupt what we want. The only thing we need here is this guy here. So the only thing we need here is this guy here, the Pinterest logo, an outline, and then you save it as save it as Illustrator 8 file. Click OK and OK, and you have to come to Cinema, and then you open the file, and yes, OK. One connects lines, OK, and then boom, we have the logo in Cinema 4D. So another basic step to do before we jump into making this a beautiful toothpastey, glossy looking material, what we have to do is make sure your spline is not intersecting, make sure it's not colliding with each other. So if you're going to look at it from the side view here, simply by just clicking on this little icon and checking, you're going to see that it's intersecting. So all you have to do is replace it by just simply dragging this backwards and this guy is backwards. Excuse me, this guy is backwards. So making sure that they are on the same plane and not intersecting each other. So you see that you have a sharp point. All you have to do is to pick the pen tool and remake this guy, make him make it more curvy, make it more curvy, make this guy to more curvy. All right, so we have, okay, so let's pick this guy here and let's tell him to move a little bit backward. Okay, so pencil, do this. So we have that, voila. So we have um, this guy repositioned such that it won't intersect itself. So the next thing to do is to pick the spline wrap. So you pick a spline wrap, place it on your scene, pick a capsule and place it on your screen too. So we have those two guys down there. So all you have to do is the capsule radius, set it to whatever you want. I think I like 20. I think I used 20 for the last. So we have, so it's a walkthrough, like I said, 20, 1171, 331, 13, and 36. All right, so let's do that. 1000, 1071. Let me use 70 exact values. 331. Cap segment, I think I use, okay, let me just use 130, 130, and boom, we have it there. And then for the spline wrap too, we have to say, we have to define the spline you want it to wrap around. It's a very powerful tool. So you click on the Pinterest logo and drag it into this beautiful engine. And also, you will notice that it's not wrapping yet because we've not completed our assignment. So all we have to do is pick the spline wrap and make it a child of the capsule, and boom, it's on. But it's not looking at like what we want it to look like yet. So all we have to do is change the orientation, the axis of your spline wrap tool. So change it to the exact axis your capsule is on, which is the plus Y. So you change it to plus Y. I'm going to explain, I'm going to change this to a minus Y later, and I'm going to explain it. But for now, let's have the plus Y, and then we have a beautiful Pinterest logo. So you notice these parts look on straight. So all you have to do is to pick your path and trying to straighten things up. Try to straighten things up where you feel it should be, and pick the pen tool and try to work on it. Okay, that is scattering things up. So the way you want it is the way you have it. So let's just imagine that is done. Okay, so moving to the next step, you would see the Pinterest logo. Let me place it back. So let me have it placed. So the Pinterest logo has something peculiar. You see here and here, you have this pointy edge looking kind of edge, and then a chamfered edge here. So you have a muted and a chamfered edge. So all you have to do is to try to create and replicate that here. All right, so the only thing that I discovered, though you can, there are other methods in which you can use apart from this method I will show you, but the only thing I discovered and was fast for me was to use, of course, the formula. So we have to use the formula deformer and make it a child of the capsule again. And then we have something pointing. But if you check the logo, you would see that the pointy part is the downside and the chamfered part is the starting point. So you can either say this is the starting point or this is the starting point. But since we write from left to right, I would say this is the starting point of the logo. So it's flipped. Make sure you do not you have this on the Y radial. If you have it on the X radial, you're going to have a beautiful nonsense. If you have it on the Z radial, you're going to have an horrible nonsense. So all you have to do is make sure it's on the Y axis, Y radial axis, and then you have to make the spline wrap follow uh, uh, an opposite direction. So that means you're saying, I don't want you to start from here I want you to start from here and draw up. So all it has to do is do a minus y. You know, talking about, let's come back to Illustrator. So talking about a graph, you have how do we have the game? The x and y axis. Oh, I think I'm going to forget this. So let me check here. Okay, so we have RGB XY. Okay, okay. Now I've remembered. So we have the X and Y axis, right? So we have the X and Y axis. We have X and we have Y. So what this does, is that what this positive Y does is that you're saying, I want you to start from here and move up. So it's a positive Y. So it's moving from down to up. So it's moving upward. So you have your Pinterest logo drawn this way by the spline, by the spline wrap. That's what it's doing. But if you tell it that, okay, I don't want it to be that way because of this pointy edge, because of the formula to, you have to flip it and tell it to do a minus y. So once it does a minus y, it draws it backward. So it does a minus y, drawing it downwards, doing this. So leaving the pointy edge underneath. That is the simple explanation, the basic explanation I think I can give to it now. So it does that for you, and voila, you have your pointy edge down and your chamfered side up. So since this is more of a walkthrough, I just wanted you to know I did that, which is important. So we have that logo right there, already shaped right there. So the next thing I did was to pick up a sphere, which is very simple, basic sphere, and then so in order to get it here, I just made it a child of the Pinterest logo, and then for the coordinates of the sphere, I made it just 0, 0, 0, and then it's centered up with it, and then remove it from being a child. The next thing I did was to expand it. I expanded it and made sure it is rightly behind the Pinterest logo, like this. So this is what I did. Make sure it's rightly behind the Pinterest logo. So the next thing I did was to add materials. So I added materials, but if you check, the material I added were the V-Ray materials. These materials are peculiar to V-Ray. I don't think V-Ray renders well with Cinema 4D predefined materials. So all I did was came to my render setting and make sure it's a V-Ray bridge, and then I had my settings. So since the walkthrough, I'm going to show you my render settings. So I have showing VFB window. VFB means oh, remind me. Oh, this is V-Ray frame buffer. Thank you. My memory, it's been a while. So V-Ray frame buffer window, I would you would see the effect of this soon. And displacement, take illumination. Make sure your GI is on your global illumination, and make sure the preset is on irradiance catch, light catch, irradiance map, right, light catch. You have different predefined. We have brute force, light catch, brute force, light catch, settings 3 down to brute force, and then irradiance catch, light catch. But I picked this because I didn't want something that would slow down my engine too much. So I just picked a default 3 points settings 3, and to know that, just come and check the light catch. So I have subdivision of light catch of 1/8, and so that's fair enough. If you pick others, if you pick a brute force, you might have 2007, 25, 15. So 15 is for a brute force. Another is 2250. Just waste my time. So what I did was just to pick the radiance catch, and make sure reflective GI caustic is on, and refractive is also on, and then ambient occlusion, make sure it's on too. Then color mapping, make sure you choose a Rayniard, not linear or exponential HSV. Rayniard is in between linear and exponential, and make sure you have your gamma to be 2.2 and the bond value to be 0.35. If you have your bond value to be 1 and multiply to be 1, that means you're trying to say I want it to be rendered out with exponential. So just make sure it's Rayniard and make sure it's 1 to 0.35, and then my environment just left it like that. Also my anti-aliasing, whatever anyway it's called, anti-aliasing, make sure it's in bucket. For adaptive subdivision, as the name implies, your subdivision adapts. Then progressive, it renders from really bad down to super fine. So we have progressive, so I left it in bucket. And then caustic on video camera, blah blah blah. All right, so that's just the walkthrough. If you really need a detailed V-Ray settings, I think I'll have to make another tutorial on that. Okay, so we have that, and then the next thing to do, after having my scene set up this way, is to pack up my material. So I selected the viewer material, and make sure it had weight, make sure it had luminosity, because I want my logo to have a little bit of luminosity like this, like it should have. So if you look at it well, there's a bit of luminosity from the white. So I have the specular one, specular. So I really want it to be reflective, but not too much. Specular 2 and specular 3, and then I added my where are you? Okay, I made sure I had my glossiness. So I linked my highlight with glossiness and my fresnel. Make sure I had fresnel, and I set it up that way. So moving up, like I said earlier, this tutorial is for advanced and intermediate people that are not just learning Cinema 4D. So I make sure my Fresnel IOR is 1.6 here and here too. Almost the same settings, but the only thing that, okay, and so blend too. Make sure you are not on Word or microfacet, blah blah blah. So it's blend. I think blend does more of if I can remember, more of reflective um, reflective metal, if I'm not wrong. So I made sure the brightness is 100 here, and the brightness here too is 100, but here, okay, same thing. So I have the same setting for my specular layers, and then all I did was to click and drag and drop it on the capsule. Remember, it's a capsule that is wrapping up and not here. If you drop it here, you won't see anything. Make sure it's on the capsule. All right, and so also for here, for the ball, all I did was just to have a diffuse layer of red. That's all. You don't need a refraction, you don't need a reflection. And then I dragged it and dropped it there on the on the on the on the ball. I dropped it on the ball. Then I had to change my then for V-Ray bridge also you have to for V-Ray you have to use V-Ray camera and V-Ray light. So all I did was set up 3 cameras, which is 1, 2, and 3. So I set up 3 cameras, and in setting up a camera, the only thing you have to do is pick up a camera from here, and then you right click on it and tell it tags, come to V-Ray bridge and say physical camera tags. Or if you don't want to go through all that stress, all you have to do is to come to V-Ray and do cameras, and you do physical camera. Also, so in setting up the physical camera, all you have to do is to make sure it is a still camera, it's not a moving motion camera, and make sure you have your where is it, the tag. Okay, so I have depth of field on, and where are you? Okay, so for the ISO, you make sure your ISO is high. because the higher the ISO, the more the brighter it is. Then your f-stop, make sure it's high, and your shutter speed, make sure it's low, because the higher your shutter speed, the less the light that will come in. That means you're telling your shutter to close as fast as possible. So if you do 3970, you're telling it to close at this speed per second. But if you do it at a low speed, it gets really, it makes your light comes in more. So we do, so these are very important settings. And then my white balance, I make sure it's in daylight. Anything you want to put it, it depends on you. And then still camera, and uh, then the Vignette effect, I just made it to be subtle on the camera, the Vignette effect. If you have, if you do not have V-Ray, you can also use Cinema 4D physical render or standard render. You see, you get something pretty close to this render down here. All right, so the next thing I did was to add lights. So I have different kind of lights. So looking at these tabs, I have the front lights. That's peeking from the front, which is here. But I made sure the front light is inside, behind, to show a kind of light I want on the on the on the on the logo itself. It's subtle, and I have the front light, which is the main light, the front light, which is a very main light on the ball and everything. It's a very simple light. And then I have the dome light, but I don't need the dome light because I really need to get this beautiful black background behind. So all I did was that, then I came to the light setting, and for the one behind, no, for the one in front, let me do that. I reduce the intensity. I don't want it to be too bright. Make sure it's area light, the light color, and also you should make sure that it is invincible. If you make it visible, if you make it, if it is it, make sure it's invisible. If you make it visible, your camera will see it and it will distort your render. Then I told it to affect reflections, and to be a normal portal light, and rectangle. Uh, I also said disc shape. Or what's okay? So I made the disc shape. So you see the disc shape, and is a rectangle light. So what again did I do? Then for here, the only thing I changed was the intensity of the light, because it's behind. It's like kind of inside this guy, and also the color, Actually, I think I used this one for the Instagram logo. I think I used this one for the Instagram. So, and all I did was to return to my camera, the camera I used to render. So I think I used this camera to render, change the angle, and then, okay, so then the VFB, so well, let's have interactive render. That's a V-Ray IPR, that's interactive progressive render, and then you would see something of this nature. Okay, I think I have to stop this. I think I have to stop that. So if you check well, I think my Pinterest logo was not set to okay, so at the end of it all, I have this guy rendering, and at the end of the render, uh, I'll be back to show you the end result of what we have. Okay, so I think we should wait. So that is just the walkthrough of how I got the Pinterest logo. So if you've got some questions for me, why not post it down in the comments below, and I'll be ready to answer you as quick as possible. All right, so while that is rendering, I would quickly walk you through how I did for the Instagram. So the same process for the Instagram logo. All I had to do is to come to my Illustrator, and then I have I think the Instagram logo is not here. I think it's somewhere can recall if I have the Instagram logo. So I have where are you? Where are you? I think I have to just press I Instagram Instagram. Okay, here. So this is the Instagram logo here. So all I had to do was for the Instagram logo, I traced it the same way. I traced it the same way. So for the Instagram logo this time, for my work to be simpler, I let's place Instagram. So I placed the Instagram logo here, and then all I did was to image trace. So I did an image trace on it. Oh, excuse me. I did this auto color image trace in it, and then this I think is a little bit tricky. So it's a little bit tricky. So yes, so after tracing it, I noticed that it just broke down the gradients for me. So all I had to do was to get the RGB values of all this, and then I noted them down for the material here for this guy. So I noted it down because I need to get something really close to this. Okay, so the next thing I did was to expand it and then ungroup it. So option and ungroup. So immediately I ungrouped it, I began to delete all this. Began to delete all of this, this and this and this and this and this and this. So I have this, and then I have this. Also, I still then I had to come in. Okay, so all I did was remove the outline color. So color, remove the outline color, remove the inside color too, and then I started deleting things I didn't want. So I started deleting the excuse me. So I gave it the outline color, and then I started, got in here, I deleted this because I don't want it. I deleted, I think I deleted this because I don't want it. By double clicking, voila. And then I have my Instagram, then I reduced this a little bit, and then I have my Instagram logo here, and all I did was to do the same process and then export as as AI file, AI 8 file, Illustrator 8 file. So let me do that now. Save as, pardon. So all I did was to save as Illustrator file. So I have here, I think this is it. I think here it is. So came back here and open. So I opened it. So it's, I think it should be in my recent. Where are you? Instagram. I think, yeah, oh, that's an SVG file. Okay, so funny enough, I just can't find it here. Okay, so let me just open it normally, and then I came to Instagram, downloads, and then here, open, and boom, I have it. But there's something that happened. If you check, I said group splines, which is not giving me separate splines because I need to separate these guys. They are not one entity. So all I had to do, was to open again. So all you have to do is to open again, come to Instagram, and do connect splines. So you remove connect splines. You can group them and then do OK. So once you do OK, you have 1, which is this, 2, and 3. So we have different splines like that. So all I did was still the same process. So let me repeat the process for you in speed. So picked here, and uh, it was 20, 20 height, 500. Then I picked a spline wrap, made it a child of this, made this one, and this guy, and then made Y, and then height segments bomb, and then okay, height segments. Then the height, I had to increase the height so these two guys would come in contact. So I had maybe can have 3,000, but just make sure it comes in handy. 8,000. Let me see. Okay, so we're getting there. 15,000. Just make sure it comes. They meet each other. 50,000. So I made sure they met each other at the midpoints. And okay, so I think 500,000 or 5 million would do. So I did a 5 million, and reduce this. And so I repeated the same process for this guy and this guy. I don't have to repeat the same process, so you just have to do it, because I think the time for this recording is going way beyond what I planned. So I am planning on uh, ending this tutorial now. Okay, as I was saying, so we have this repeated for this and this. All right, so to the next step, all I did was I brought it inside here, inside the Pinterest logo, which of this here. I brought it inside, and then I switched this off, and then I switched the Instagram on. So here we have the Instagram, and we have a cube for it. So all I did was, so remember the same settings for the camera and the lights and everything. So all I did was to come here for the texture, for the material. So for the material, we have the diffuse layer, which is also the color layer. And then I picked gradient, which is here, this guy. And then double click inside the gradient. And then remember I said I noted these guys, this the color values of all the colors behind this guy. So I noted it, and then I brought them individually inside this gradient handles. So I have it grading from this beautiful orange or peach or what have you, orange, down to this blue, the Instagram colors. And then the type, make sure it's a 2D V. If you make it a 3D, because you are in a 3D software, it's going to scatter your work. So I made sure it's a 2D V, because I wanted to I wanted all the colors to show. A 2D V, no, but I prefer the 2D U. I mean, sorry, that was a mistake. So a 2D U, so I prefer 2D U. And then voila, I have all my uh, all my gradients showing, because that is exactly what I wanted. So after that, I close it, and then applied it to the cube. Applied it to the cube, and then all I did was to apply the same material for the Pinterest and dropped it here on the Instagram. So doing the Instagram logo is as simple as doing the Pinterest logo. So let's check on the V-Ray frame buffer, and let's see how far it has gone. V-Ray frame buffer, where are you? V-Ray frame buffer, where are you? Okay, uh, so we have this guy is still rendering. So that is That is how I created that. uh, Guy, I think I have to stop it now. So I'm gonna stop that and then gonna do a trial on this. So for the Instagram too, it has since it has the same light setting, so we have the same render as on what I have. So the video effect of the camera, don't forget, if you wish, and if you don't like it, don't put it. So I have that, and I think that is all about it. So if you notice something, I think I've moved something I'm not supposed to move. So you see this light blotch here is not supposed to. I think I don't have it here. So it's that place is clear. So I think I've moved the light. I've moved the light, which is this. So move it backward. Yeah. So once you render, you have a beautiful render, a clean render, nothing broken, nothing missing. So if you like this tutorial, why not like the video, subscribe, pardon me, subscribe to my channel, and you get more and more and more of my process and processes, and you get a lot of tips and tricks of how I do my beautiful renders both in Cinema 4D, in After Effects, in Illustrator, even in Photoshop. Uh, I'm sure you learned something from this very tutorial because it was really helpful. So hope to see you very soon. Hope to hear from you by posting in the comment section below. Post your questions, post your views, post how you feel about the video, what I've done wrong, or what you feel are not clear to you, and I will clarify that. I'll clear it out to you. Uh, have a blessed day. Bye bye.